Welcome back. AC lesson number 11. Refrigerant leak detection. Finding freon leaks. Last part. We went over doing a visual for the oil stain and understanding some of the limitations. We went over the bubble method, also understanding some of the limitations. This bubbles works great. We went over the UV dye. Works great, but you got to give it time. And the glasses do help. It shows the leaks. Does this count? I think so. Wait till you hear the leak. The leak is so fast. You don't need nothing special, just your ears. Sometimes you gotta get a little closer, and then we know maybe the bubbles. 6 methods. Here's the visual, the bubbles, the UV dye, listening, feeling, and what was left? What was left? The halogen leak detector. A color, blues for boys. Did anybody figure out why I've waited to explain this method? I put it off, I put it off, and I put it off. Can anybody figure out why I'm waiting so long? To show you, explain to you how to use the electronic sniffer, beeper, halogen detector. Why do I put this in last place? It's the most advanced technical tool. It should be way up front. This thing is only good for one thing, in my opinion, and that's to impress the customer so we can charge more money. As far as finding leaks, I think this thing is worthless. I'll explain here in a minute. But what do I know? I started working with air conditioning in the early 70s. That's close to 50 years now. And this brings back memory. The Halide leak detector. This is a refrigerant leak detector. You see, it's propane with a little hose. And I remember using this. I used this when I was a student at the college. This is how we used to find leaks on refrigerants. When there was no leak, the flame was blue. But if there was refrigerant being siphoned up that hose, the flame would turn green. It works. But those gases of the burnt refrigerant are poisonous. Phosgene gas, I think they were called. Back to this thing. Just to kind of give me some backup. MAX, Mobile Air Conditioning Society, founded in 1981. This is the one I'm going to recommend that you get certified 609. This is a slide from their PowerPoint presentation explaining how to use the electronic leak detector. You're supposed to put foil around the suspicious area or plastic, and you have to tape it up. This is what I think a little bit of ammunition to explain. These guys don't work. What am I talking about? They either go off all the time or they don't go off. Go off means they start to beep, indicating a leak. I've been burned too many times. I used to limit myself to stick the probe in the evaporator drain, the condensation drain. And I remember if it was just like yesterday, it went off and it went off. Every time I stuck it in the drain, it went off. Okay, let's do the evaporator. 6 hours later, they put the evaporator in my hand and it was dusty dry. It wasn't leaking. I don't trust these for nothing. Maybe you can have your own opinion. I don't think they're too good. Isolating the leaks, extra steps. I think it's not too good. Okay, let's finish the lesson on leak detection. Took about 2.5 lessons. I count them, the visual, and its limitations. Everything has limitations. Understanding if there's not enough oil. On the bubbles, works great on big and medium, is not too good on the small leaks. What's the limitation on the UV? Who remembers? There is one limitation. It just takes time. Limitations? I don't think so. The halogen, that's the electronic one. Finally, a new subject. Who remembers the 4 ingredients needed for coal? Fill in the blanks. You need the correct amount of refrigerant. The compressor has to be hitting on all cylinders. Cooling or removing heat from the condenser. And we have to have good blank of the freon. Who remembers the last one? Circulation. Here they are, the 4 ingredients. Right? We've gone over this one, how it leaks, and more leaks. Oh, of course, there's more information about the refrigerant, mostly how to charge, how to add the refrigerant to the system, and that will be a hands-on information. We now turn our attention to this guy, the compressor. All right, the compressor. Here I've listed compressor problems at the top. Leaks, and more leaks. Compressors leak. Internal leakage, not external, internal leakage. That's what we call it when the rings and the cylinders are scored or the Teflon's been melted away. This is internal leakage. Compressors are going to make noise. They make noise because bearings wear out and they run low on oil and people abuse them. The compressor can make noise internally and externally. We'll explain as we go on. The compressor can be locked up. It can have an electrical problem in the coil, clutch coil, and I'll show you examples of each one of these, right? We're headed toward the lesson on how to do a compressor job. This is a very, very common repair. Compressors give out. They have to be replaced for about 6 different reasons. We're headed toward the compressor. Compressors are replaced just because they leak. When you put the Freon, it works for a while, but about a week later, it leaks. No, we don't reseal, repair compressors anymore. Like we don't rebuild starters or alternators. We just replace them. We replace compressors because they get worn out. Remember this image? Pistons, cylinders ran out of oil, all scored up. We replace compressors because they get noisy. Sometimes the noise is only when you engage the clutch. That means it's on the inside, as in the red arrow. Sometimes the pulley bearing makes noise all the time in the yellow arrow. We replace compressors because they are locked up. I don't even have to open the hood. I can tell I've got a locked up compressor. Start the engine, so far so good. Push the AC button, I hear the bell squealing. Compressor's locked up. Yes, the clutch coil, the electrical part of the compressor. You have to replace them just because the clutch coil goes bad. It's just like any other electrical circuit. Electrical circuits only mess up 2 ways. They're either going to go open, that means they're lacking contact, or they're going to go shorted, which means an unwanted contact. At the end, and I put them in order, it happens. This is not the most common, but the air gap will become so excessive. The clutch wears. Everything wears. The clutch becomes, the air gap of the clutch gets so excessive that we have to replace it because it won't engage. Reasons to replace the compressor. They leak. They don't push it full or pump down. They're making noise, whether it's all the time or just when it's engaged. Total failure of the compressor is locked up. The circuit has become open or shorted in the coil, or the air gap has become excessive. How to do a compressor job. First, you have to recover all the refrigerant. I'm sure you know it's illegal to vent into the atmosphere. It's illegal. While you're waiting for the recovery procedure, you will be shown how to do this in the shop. While you're waiting, because it takes about 4 or 5 minutes, let's start on the belt. Some belts are easy. Some belts are not easy. It's just like everything else. Sometimes spark plugs are easy and sometimes spark plugs are a living hell. Remove the compressor because we're going to replace it for whatever reason it needs. The one on the left, man, you got a straight shot on that one. That one's easy. The one on the right, yeah, I see the suction line. There's a compressor down in there somewhere. You can do it by the book or freestyle. Book means follow the written steps in the procedure. Pro demand typically will provide you step-by-step installation instructions removal. Freestyle means, well, you figure it out as you go. How should you do it? Well, depends on the compressor. If it looks easy enough, if it's a more challenging one, maybe a combination of procedure and instructions. Okay, you got it off. Now you start to match the parts. There's the new one. There's the old one. So far, so good. But yes, sometimes parts have to be changed over. In this particular one, it's called the manifold, has to replace that plate. I think this is a good place to stop. The end. Done, done.